Okay, guys, Sam back with you here. It's Thursday, the 6th of December, and we're going to finish up here. This is by request. We've got, very active membership participating in equity trading here. So by request here is a look at advanced micro devices. Now, this is an interesting one. So if you look at it here, so it becomes a question of, is this the 3 or is this the 5? Question, so if you bring it all the way over here to the left and we look at this little pivot, is this the 1, 2, or is this, are we essentially, some sort of a truncation here that leads to a double bottom? Well, this is a tricky one. So my first thought was to go to log scale, see what that looks like. So, boy, hard to bet against that. When you put, so we get, the advantage of going to log is that we get better separation down here, so we can see the waves more clearly. Now, so if you're looking at that thinking, okay, 2 to the 4 to the 5, well, of course, we would want to measure and see how technical we were here on the 4. It's not bad. So now, granted, we're going to and through, we're getting the extension here in the 5th. So if this is the 2 and it's not great shape here, so maybe AB with a trunk, it's hard to say, right? So you have to put this in some context of, okay, well, where are we relative? I'm so sorry. Excuse me, guys. Where are we relative to where we've been? So you got to go to the weekly here to look at that. So now you start to get more context, and we think, okay, well, is this here is the low? Do we have anything here? And remember, this is going to be terribly distorted because we're in log scale. So if you looked at it that way, right? So that might be a better way to look at it. So we look here and say, okay, well, we've been here before. 2000, internet boom. Here's prior to 06, the last, then we go down. Here's the 09 low, revisited that low 16. And so this has been all of the big push here from 16 into this high. So it's, we can kind of just look up here and go, all right, well, I've been here before, right? Didn't stay up there for long. This was unique, right? In the internet crash prior to the housing break. So coming up to this level, I'm more inclined to think that we've completed something here. So if we look at where's the next opportunity, so if we just grab from that low up to this high, well, we've already done the 50. So if this is completed, so if you're a bull, the idea would be that we've just completed a 1. And now we're in the process of putting in a 2. Maybe it's lower here before we go 3, 4, and 5. Now let's go here and we'll go up. That'll work. Okay, so potentially you've just got a nice 1 wave here. It's impulsive. We've got interesting subdivision here into the 4, and we get the extension in the 5th. Now here's where it gets a little problematic. Go back to the daily. If you're trying to decide, what do we have here? Is this 1, 2, 3? So you might look at that and think, well, if that were 1, 2, 3, we'd certainly want to anticipate that we'd have some confluence up there. So if I take 1, if I'm thinking of that as the 1, 2, well, where's our high probability zone for a 3rd? Right there. So could that be 1, 2, 3? Well, here's the problem with that as I see it. So if you look here, if this is the, well, let's do it this way. If this is 1, 2, and this is 3, well, then we'd be looking for a relationship that would be consistent with your traditional Elliott impulse here. If this is the 2 into the 3, well, we've already broken the 65, right? Now we did come all the way back down here to these levels of prior resistance. We found support there, but that's a very deep. If we were trading this as 1, 2, 3, now granted it's tempting here, but the depth of that retracement is, so you're in very low percentage. It's the possibility that now goes up and this is 3, 4 going in and we're off to a new high to complete the 5. I think that is less likely given what we just looked at here. So I think, again, going into log scale where you get better separation here, I think it's pretty reasonable to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on that assumption, what we're looking for is the 50 here. So granted, now I'm going to go back out of log scale so I can just pull from swing high to swing low where we've just bumped into that 50. Get it right on there. There we go. Up to that high. So this Looks more to me like all we've done is put in an A wave, B is going in, and we can anticipate the C at some point here correcting this entire move. So we've already got the conditions we would need to call it a 2 in that we've done the 50%. Now we've got this nice little 3 wave here. This, yeah, granted, I know it's not done yet, but it could be done actually. So we look here from the high and we pull down here. Where'd we go? Well, we're not quite to the 50. So A, B, C. Well, it looks like that C might have a little more work to do here. So let's blow in on that. A, that looks like a fairly good B, so we'd be looking for parity would be the first thing to test. Do we get pretty close, right? So A, B, so can you dig a C out of that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You might be able to. So let's see here. So we'd have to go one. That could work. We'd have to go do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now that's ridiculous chart scale here. So let's go to sub-micro here, and we'll go to white. Okay, so but that's a contender. Now it's shallow for the B. So how are we going to know? Well, if the B is in, so actually we have a couple of possibilities here. One is that, so if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into the A, we could have more complexity. So we could end up with something like this. This could just be the A, B before we go for a bigger C before we come down. So we can't ignore that possibility. So A, B, C. Potentially now either just the B wave or the A wave of a larger B wave. Well, so how are you going to know? Well, the tell will be, do we get a retracement here that stays internal? So let me pull this off here so I clean up the chart. So do we get a 1, 2? So it would be looking like this. So if this comes down here, if that's 1 going in and we get 2 and then we get 3, 4, and 5, then we know the B is in, but you really can't confirm it. So here's the tell. Do we get a 2 here, or if we're going higher, well then we can make the assumption that it is indeed more likely just doing something like this before we get a completed B wave, which would have better symmetry before heading down relative to the length of the A. This is a little shallow, could be just a reflection of the weakness of the market, what the broader market is dealing with, but pretty nice clean 5 coming down. A, B, C. Now we may not be done yet in here, but you've got the ingredients for it. So here's how I would approach it. I would be watching for what happens here. If that 1 is in, right? We can't be sure, but that's a contender here. If we come into a 1, 2, so if we come up here into the prime zone here, and you can see prior resistance here. We've got this gap that's already been filled, but if we come into this and we get this action like that, then we know we're on the right track. So then all that is. So let's try and put the whole thing together. So if this is A, B, and we're going to get a big C, well, we got to think about that relationship relative to the A wave. So where would that put us? So common, again, we've shown many times, so very, very common to look for parity. Length of the A projected from the B. That would put our 100 down here. So let's mark that with just a little hot box here. So this is reasonable target. So now if we pull back out and say, well, is that reasonable to think we could be going that low? Or is that just crazy town? Well, where would that be putting us relative to this entire swing? Swing low, swing high. Isn't that interesting? So let's pull this off here to clean this up a little bit. Let me get in here a little bit. So if that's A, B, and we're going to go, if this is going to go 3, 4, 5 would bring us down here. That's a mighty skinny C. Well, you got the 618. That's impossible. That's not out of the norms here. Now we don't have the 2, so the projection here on the 3, 4, and the 5 is, it's just that. It's just hypothetical here because we don't know if that B is done yet. And the first tell would be what happens at the 2. Do we hold an internal retracement? Of course, 2 can't go beyond the start of 1. So if this is going to come up here, so let me pull this out of here. So if this is going to come up into the 2, and we get the 2 here, and then we start heading down, then we can get better idea about where this could be going here, knowing that 1618 is down here. So we have that possibility here. So putting that all back together, if that B is in and we go 1, 2, well, we can just do some projecting for the 3, 4, and 5, put us down here in this target. So best case here we'd be, oh, shit. Try that again. 1, A, B. Here's some confluence. So this wouldn't be out of the range of common target here. This is a little shallow. Here's more typical. But now we're beyond the 786. So then there's no question that we've got this 5-wave structure is done here. Even here, you know, you're still hanging on to the idea that it's a 2. If you're coming down to this level here, you know, now maybe we've got something else going on. But right now, that just looks like all we're doing is correcting that completed 5-wave, putting through the ABC, knowing that worst case would put us all the way down here. Now we're breaking the 786. So if I look at where that would put us here on the longer degree. Now we're going from this low down. So is that even, I don't even think 887. I have 887. So here's 887 at the 100. That's a deep 2. Last stand really for a 2. So you've got this little cluster over here. So potentially now some structure, but you've got multiples. So all of these are candidates. So this one as well. Yeah, you get the idea. So, yeah, trading views sometimes is annoying. Okay, so here you get a zone down here. This would be of interest if we're coming down that far. And that would be a pretty good push here for a 2 if we're ultimately gonna get that. So just looking at that, you can just, that looks mighty deep for a 2, and not that we haven't seen it before, but then if you think about what this has done in the past, right? We've seen it before. Put that all together and say, well, here it was, right? So if you were thinking, so here, little historical context. If you were thinking, oh, well, this is coming down. Well, here's the 786, here's the 887, right? We did 100%. So that move here is not without precedent, right? Did the same thing here. So look, that's interesting. Look here. So they've done this multiple times. So well, here you held. And so swing low, if that's the high, boy, that's, well, if you were a buyer down here, so you know there's no Elliott play there really. So that's just okay. Well, let's look. That's just common sense trading. Okay, what happened last time it was down here? Once, boom. Twice, boom. 3, you didn't get a big boom at first. Eventually, you got it. So we can just put this in the context of is that crazy town to be down here thinking we might go that deep? Well, in actual fact, we could easily go right back down here. So do I like it down here? Yeah, but I'm conscious of what's happened the last time we did that. Right? So coming down here is not out of the question. So just, you know, it's easy to get caught up and, you know, you're in the 4-hour here and you're digging down here and you don't have perspective as to what it's done previously. That's why, particularly with equities, of course, for sure, you got to look at the weekly. Where have we been? Are there patterns here that are repeating? Sure, we can get an Elliott count on this, but we got to put it in the context of what it's done before. There's a lot of volatility in this name. So that's what I see there, guys. Okay, so that's one to be watching. Interesting here. I certainly would want to know when we get to this level, if we're going to come down this deep here and tickle these highs. I want to know about that. All right, so as a candidate, right? So first we got to wait and see, can we confirm that this B is in based off of the 1, 2? If we can, then I want to know when we hit these levels. If we hit these levels, I want to be alerted to that, so I can look at if the conditions look good for a buy. All right, okay, guys. So just a final reminder: we do have, you know, if you're kind of interested in checking us out, we do have this 1 week, what is it? 3 days for $7. You can come in, check everything out. We've got access to just about everything but the belt system. You can probably understand why. So that's something to keep in mind. You can always find that link. It's over on our Twitter feed. It's underneath the videos. So if you're interested in just coming in and checking out what we're all about, that's a way you can do it for just $7. All right, keep that in mind, and we'd like to see you over on Twitter as well. We try and engage with you there. So give us a follow if you're not already, and other than that, we'll be back tomorrow. Okay, guys, have a good one.